Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name is Ann Packham. I will be your service leader today. Welcome, everybody, whether you're visiting for the first time. I know we have some guests coming for the first time, or whether you've been here since the founding. You are all welcome. We also, before we get into the meat of the program, we want to welcome our friends online. So if you would wave to them, we have Facebook and YouTube, so say hello to them. And before we get started, actually just take a minute, because we're all bustle and muscling. Say hi to your neighbor real quickly. Okay, so we will continue that after the service with coffee and conversation. As you can see, our services every week are different, so we invite you to join us multiple times if you're just visiting for the first time. We have speakers from the community organizations, nonprofits, from our academic institutions. We have members of our own congregation who speak to us, and of course we have ministers who also minister to us. So please try us several times to see what we're all about. Just a couple of housekeeping things. If you're, I encourage you to use the microphone if you're going to speak up here, but we can also bring the microphone to you. And our exits are the door that most of you came in, or the back, or that way, if there's any reason that you need to leave. And then finally, also, if you have any devices that make noise, you can silence them right now so we won't be disturbed. So before we actually start the service, we will have committee moments. So any committee chairs have any announcements to make, please come to the microphone and share those briefly.
Good morning, Carrie Mitchell with Personnel. For the next couple of weeks, we're going to be collecting for year-end staff bonuses. So when the children are passing the baskets this morning, I am going to be passing this festive bag. If you are so moved, please put a little extra in for our staff. If you prefer to donate online, there is a spot when you follow the QR code. There's a little spot for year-end staff bonuses as well. Thanks.
Women's group, the Sisterhood, we're going to have our holiday party here on Friday night at 6:30. After the service today, I'll be putting the tree up. So we're going to decorate the tree. We're going to have some food and a white elephant gift exchange. So I hope you guys will come. Oh, yeah, bring your jammies.
Thank you. Joey Cole here. Just reminding you all again that we are planning to have an OWL class for adults. OWL is Our Whole Lives. It's sex education. And if you don't think adults need sex education, then you're wrong. That's right. There you go. Show up and find out. Anyway, we're not sure when it's going to be scheduled, but we are doing this in conjunction with First U. So if you have any interest, please let me know, or Chris Reed. I don't see her here right now, but yeah, just let one of us know, and we're getting that together. We'll be working with Judith Stein-Farrell as well. So, and the second announcement I have is that on the 9th of this month, is that the right date? Mm-hmm. Blue Christmas. Pastoral Care is having a Blue Christmas service because Christmas is not always joyful all the time, so some people need a little extra support, and I think that's what this service will do. And thank you to my helper also with the ferry here this morning.
Good morning, Martha here on behalf of Program Committee. This Tuesday, December 2nd, is our next online program planning meeting, so there will be a Zoom going out. And if you're not already on the list, you can email me and I'll give you the Zoom link. That's Tuesday night. January 10th, we're having a service leader training. All our current and a couple of new people that have wanted to participate have all confirmed. So it will be open to others if you have any interest in being a service leader in this community, Saturday morning, January 10th. And after service next week, we have somebody coming from Braver Angels. Next week is going to be a very hectic service with choir practice and caroling, and we're also going to have some time after service with our Braver Angels speaker to go a little bit more in depth on how to have better conversations over the holidays. So there'll be a lot to choose from next week. And we'll be in the conference room and membership.
Bettina here from membership, and we are going to have a coffee, cake, and chat next weekend after service on December 7th, and we'll be meeting in the youth group room since they're using the conference room. This is just a time for anyone who's visiting. If you want to get to know some members better, members if you want to get to know visitors better. Margie will bring one of her fantastic cakes, which we will all thoroughly enjoy. Or if you're not eating it, you won't get to enjoy it, but the rest of us will. They're really good. And just sit around and talk and learn a little bit more about what Unitarian Universalism is and just have a good time getting to know one another. The second thing that I have actually for membership has to do with greeters for the month of December. I believe we need some more greeters, so if you are one of the greeters, please let me know if you'd be available for any given Sunday this next month. That'd be great. Thanks.
Hi everyone, Tay with RE. So on the 21st, the Sunday, we will be doing our holiday pageant. So no traditional RE. The kids will be integrated into the service. Me and Reverend Kathy are working together on that. But on the 14th is really going to be our day that we're going to be doing like some prop making, some light costume making, like nothing crazy. But if you have like any cardboard or anything like that that you'd like to donate to RE so that we have things that we can cut out and turn into props, that'd be great. And then also on the 20th, that is going to be our solstice camp out, and I invite Pam to come also bring up some of the solstice service.
Hi, I'm Pam Angel, I guess member at large. And I had volunteered, when I belonged to the Unitarian Fellowship in Boca, one of my favorite services was solstice. So we're going to do an abbreviated, because the one over there was long and complicated and took a lot of people and a lot of work. We're going to do an abbreviated service because it's part of the camp out. We're also going to do a story for children as part of it. And we're going to have poem reading, and we'll do a little bit of the service, and it'll start around 5:30 and light the fire at the end, and hopefully then you'll stay for the cookout.
Thank you. Lori Hospitality. Two quick things. One is, even if you saw the sign out front, I have been losing a week all month. The potluck is not next Sunday, but the Sunday after. And the other thing is, Jill, wave your hand. Jill's got the sign-up sheet for anyone who wants to take the great opportunity of meeting the other members by helping to serve coffee.
I have a couple of announcements. Yes, first, next Sunday after the service, we're going to go caroling at a memory care center. And this is not just going to be the choir, it's going to be everybody who loves to sing carols and loves to spread holiday cheer. So we're going to meet at 12:30 here to run through the program, and then we're going to carpool over there. Okay, so yeah, no need to bring music, we'll supply everything. So I hope to see you next week. Oh, yes, and also, I'm sorry. And also, can we go back to the, yeah. And New Inquiring Minds, we're having our next meeting next Sunday before the service at 9 a.m., and it's going to be open mic. Oh, sure.
In case you're looking for stuff, it might be in here. And a mason jar and some sunglasses that look like they're for a small adult or a child. Anyway, it's over here. So if you lose anything, check over here.
I just found out a couple days ago that the next men's group meeting, which will be at 6:30 on Monday, the 15th of December. It really is a good thing for us guys to get together. I've been doing this professionally for years, so it's a delight to participate in this. So I hope that you'll come join us at 6:30 on Monday, the 15th. Back there. Wish you well.
Hello, I'm Chloe McElroy. I just put up a poster right there on the front door of the foyer for a One Man, A Christmas Carol. This is our 28th year doing it. He plays all 37 characters. It's going to be at Imagine Performing Arts Center in the Oviedo Mall. It is, I believe, at 7:30 on the 5th and 6th, and then 5 o'clock on the 7th. The first 2 days are going to be filmed performances, actually. So you, if you want to be part of the filming, we need an audience for such things. And then on the 7th, it's just a regular performance, no filming, but still lots of fun. So we'd love to have you come. If you can't make it, we're also doing it at First Church downtown on the 20th, I believe at 7, I think. But whenever the weekend of the live performances are over, you'll see another poster up there for the 20th performance, so you can check it out. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And all of this information is in our notable news. So if you're not getting the notable news, our weekly email, see me afterward and I'll make sure you get on the list, especially any visitors who want to know what's going on around here. So opening words are from the Reverend Orlando Brugnola, called House of Welcoming. Here we find a house of welcoming. Here we find vision and hope. Here be received as you truly are, unique and beautiful, your journey acknowledged, your love honored. Let us rejoice together. Our opening music today is number 368, Now Let Us Sing. It is in the gray hymnal if you would like to have the music in front of you, and we will have Janet and Gary leading us.
Okay, so this, and please rise as you're willing and able. This is a two-part song, and we've done this before. I think it was back in September, and we did a great job. But that time we had Alicia helping us at the piano, and now we're going to do it a cappella. So we'll see. And so we're going to quote unquote rehearse each part separately, and then we'll put them together. Hang on a second. Lower part first, ready? Now let us sing, 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 sing. Now let us sing, sing, sing. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. And let us sing to the power of the faith within. Okay, great. Okay, and here is the top part. Sing to the power of the faith within. Sing to the power of the faith within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the faith within. Okay, great. Go ahead. The low part starts, you can sing whatever part you want.
So we're supposed to have this side do the first?
No. Anybody can sing any part they want.
Okay.
But you're going to start because you're singing the low part. Okay.
People doing the one on the left, I guess it is. Now let us sing
to the power of the faith within. Sing to the power of the faith within. Lift up your voice.
Sing to the power of the faith within. Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the hope within. Sing to the power of the hope within. Lift up your voice, fear not afraid. Sing to the power of the hope within.
Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the love within.
Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the love within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the love within.
Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the joy within. Sing to the power of the joy within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the joy within. Yay!
Wow, I thought that was pretty good. Our chalice lighter today is Chase. Chase uses the pronouns he, him. He's 15 years old, and his joy is that he had a great Thanksgiving. Great, thank you. And let's say together the words on the screen. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. And each week we affirm why we come together to this lovely place. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. Now is the time in our service where we provide an opportunity for people to share any joys that happened in their life recently or any concerns that they may have. We ask you to come to the microphone, which I'm going to put in the middle here in a second. If you need the microphone brought to you, just raise your hand and we will do that. And just a quick reminder, this is being broadcast on the internet, so you wouldn't want to say anything here that you wouldn't want the whole world to potentially know.
Hi, I'm Lindsay. Sadly, on Thanksgiving Day, my nephew, Barry Kratz, passed away. He was younger than me. Don't like it when people that are younger than me pass away. And he was a kind of a lonely guy. And I wish he could have had a happier life, but I'm going to miss him.
Paula, Peter and I went to the First U on Friday and had lunch with those fine people. And it was great. It was a small enough group to be cozy, and it was a lot of fun and very tasty. And I didn't have to cook, and that was always good.
Had a great Thanksgiving.
So Christopher has an exam on Friday, differential equations, all good vibes for differential equations, hard math, and also didn't get the full weather report, but I did watch the football game in Champaign, Illinois, and it looked horrible. So let's have some clearing of the weather so students can get back to their respective universities safely, because my Christopher was at my sister's, which is near O'Hare. Her daughter was there from Eau Claire, Wisconsin, which is 4.5 hours away, and then my nephew, who's in law school at University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, that's 5. So yeah, we want some clearing weather so people can get, and all the other students to travel, not just them. Thank you. Yeah, they're having winter, and I'm glad we're in Florida.
My joy is that my aunt came to my house.
Thank you. Good job.
My name is James, and I've been to this church for the last 6 years, I believe. So if you're not familiar with me, I'm James from Haiti. So I happened to, after I would say 6 years, I've been coming in the U.S. for the last 10 years, I guess, back and forth and focus on my mission and my stuff in Haiti. But that's the first time in my journey that I decide to really settle down and find a new direction, a new way in my journey, because things are not getting any better in Haiti and not getting any better on a personal level. And wish me good luck, because I'm heading to New York on Saturday and start a new adventure. But I will still support my work in Haiti remotely. But yeah, that's my that's the new path of my journey, because there's no other way. I mean, I've been looking for solution, but it's been hard on me, like mentally, psychologically, and physically. So I end up, it's break my heart not being able to just be on the field, because I'm an action person. I love being on the field. I love to see things moving in the direction that I envision them. But it's hard on me. But I believe it's gonna be a new adventure, a new journey. I'm finding a new way to just settle down in a pursuit of happiness. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Crystal. I am a visitor, I'm a guest. I am a member of the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Lakeland. So I brought my Aunt Kathy, who lives in Ocoee, today, and I just wanted to share the joy that I get to spend time with her, even though my driving makes her nervous. We made it here safe and early, and I appreciate y'all being here. So.
Good morning. I'm sharing an online message from a friend, I guess, Yadira Ortega. Her joy today is the wonderful conversation she had with her love this morning over video. So isn't it a blessing that we can use things like Zoom and video to stay together?
Hi, I'm Reverend Kathy. I'm happy to be with you today. My joy is that I am with you today. 11 days ago, I voluntarily had my upper abdomen remodeled to remove a gallbladder and fix up my stomach, a hiatal hernia and stuff. And it's been touch and go all week, but I'm here and I'm so happy to be here.
And I have a joy to share from Evelyn. Evelyn called me yesterday to let me know that she has a cousin who is 102 who passed away. But the joy, this cousin had survived an incredible journey, was 12 years old when Hitler started invading in Austria and was able to get out on a special program to go to the UK, ultimately wound up in Canada, and then in the United States, and was able to settle and have a wonderful life. And the great thing was that until the very end, he was 100% lucid, and he was able to receive the information from Evelyn's daughter, Elise, that she was just elected mayor of South Portland, Maine. And apparently this is a position she had been wanting to occupy for a long time. So that was the joy, that he was able to receive that information before he passed away. So I'll put a stone in for both of them. Let's just take a moment to think about the joys and concerns that may not have been shared today. Amen. All right, we have Tay Barden, who's going to be our host for Time for All Ages.
Okay. Hi, all. Hello? I'd like to ask for a volunteer to come up and help me with a demonstration. One volunteer. Okay. So I'm going to have you close your eyes. I'm going to have you feel an object that I brought with me, and I want you to best guess what it is. Okay, Joe? So go ahead and close your eyes. I'm going to show everyone what it is. First you felt its wing, and then you felt its body, and then its head and its feet. And that's what it was. Thank you, Joe. So I specifically picked one that was not a dead giveaway or a squishmallow. That could be anything. So I specifically tried to get something a little out there. But this leads me to my story today. It is a folk tale from India about 6 blind men and an elephant. Long ago, 6 old men lived in a village in India, and each one was born blind. The other villagers loved the old men, and they kept them away from harm. And since the blind men could not see the world for themselves, they had to imagine many of its wonders. They listened carefully to the stories told by travelers to learn what they could of life outside the village. And the men were curious about a lot of the stories they heard. And they were most curious about elephants. They were told elephants could trample forests, carry huge burdens, and frighten young and old with their loud trumpeting calls. But they also knew that the Raja's daughter rode on an elephant when she traveled in her father's kingdom. And would the Raja let his daughter get near such a dangerous creature? The old men argued day and night about elephants. An elephant must be a powerful giant, claimed the first blind man, as he had heard stories about elephants being used to clear forests and build roads. No, you must be wrong, argued the second one. An elephant must be graceful and gentle if a princess is to ride on its back. You're wrong. I have heard that an elephant can pierce a man's heart with its terrible horn, said the third blind man. Please, said the fourth blind man, you are all mistaken. An elephant is nothing more than a large sort of cow. You know how people exaggerate. I am sure that an elephant is something magical, said the fifth blind man. That would explain why the Raja's daughter can travel safely through the kingdom. I don't believe elephants exist at all, declared the sixth blind man. I think we are the victims of a cruel joke. And so finally, the villagers grew tired of all their arguments, and they arranged for the curious men to visit the palace of the Raja to learn the truth about elephants. A young boy from their village was selected to guide the blind men on their journey. The smallest man put his hand on the boy's shoulder. The second man put his hand on his friend's shoulder, and so on until all 6 men were ready to walk safely behind the boy and lead them to the Raja's magnificent palace. And when the blind man reached the palace, they were greeted by an old friend of theirs from the village who worked as a gardener on the palace grounds. And their friend led them to the courtyard, and there stood an elephant. And the blind men stepped forward to touch the creature that was the subject of so many arguments. And the first blind man, and he reached out and he touched the side of the huge animal. An elephant is smooth and solid like a wall, he declared. It must be very powerful. And the second blind man put his hand on the elephant's limber trunk. An elephant is like a giant snake, said the second one. The third blind man felt the elephant's pointed tusk. I was right, he decided. This creature is as sharp and deadly as a spear. And the fourth blind man touched one of the elephant's 4 legs, and he said, what we have here, he said, is an extremely large cow. And the fifth blind man felt the elephant's giant ear, and he said, I believe an elephant is like a huge fan, or maybe a magic carpet that can fly over mountains and treetops, he said. And the sixth blind man gave a tug on the elephant's coarse tail, and he said, why, this is nothing more than a piece of old rope. Dangerous indeed, he scoffed. And the gardener led his friends to the shade of the tree and said, sit here and rest for the long journey home. I will bring you some water to drink. And while they waited, the 6 blind men talked about the elephant. And they said, he is like a wall, said the first blind man. We can finally agree on that. A wall? An elephant is a giant snake, that said the second. It's a spear, I tell you. It's a giant cow, I'm certain. It's a magic carpet, there's no doubt. Don't you see, pleaded the 6th blind man. Someone used a rope to trick us. And their argument continued, and their shouts grew louder. A wall, a snake, a spear, a cow, a carpet, a rope. And finally, the Raja yelled, stop shouting, as he was awakened from his nap by the noisy argument of the blind men. How can each of you be so certain that you are right? Asked the ruler. And the 6 blind men considered the question, and then, knowing the Raja to be a very wise man, they decided to say nothing. And the elephant is a very large animal, said the Raja kindly. Each man touched only one part. Perhaps, if you put the parts together, you will see the truth. Now let me finish my nap in peace. And when their friends returned to the garden with the cool water, the 6 men rested quietly in the shade, thinking about the Raja's advice. He is right, said the first blind man. To learn the truth, we must put all the parts together. Let's discuss this on the journey home. And so the first blind man put his hand on the shoulder of the young boy who would guide them home. And then the second put his hand on his friend's shoulder, and so on until all 6 men were ready to travel together. Thank you.
Now we'll have our interlude and offering. This is an opportunity to contribute to this congregation. We will also have the passing of the basket for staff bonuses. And we also give 40% of any of the loose offering in our basket to a local organization. And this quarter, it's the Hope Community Center in Apopka. So please give generously. And I think we're going to have a video music for this time, right, Patrick? Right, this is the time that we will sing our children out. Please join me. We love you and bless you and send you on your way. We love you and bless you today and every day. This morning, we are lucky to have Reverend Kathy Schmitz as our presenter. As you know, she's a consulting minister, has been a minister at many congregations before us, but we're so lucky to have her with us now, and we don't want to ever let go of her. And she will be speaking on our common endeavor. Reverend Kathy.
We'll just see if I can do this whole thing standing up or not. I'm grateful to Tay for sharing that story. I won't be commenting on it, but I hope that you see how it fits with my remarks today. I'd like to begin this section with a responsive reading from Reverend Kenneth Patton, a prominent UU minister of the mid-1900s. The words will be displayed, or they can be found in the gray hymnal at number 444. I invite you to share this by responding with the words in italics. Let us begin. This house is for the ingathering of nature and human nature. It is a house of freedom guarding the dignity and worth of every person. It offers a platform for the free voice, for the declaring times of security and dignity, full of undivided confidence. It is a house of truth-seeking, where scientists can encourage devotion to their quest, where mystics can abide in a community of searchers. It is a house of prophecy, outrunning times past and times present in visions of growth and progress. This house is the cradle for our dreams, the workshop for our common endeavor. Thank you. Today we're going to be looking at the evolution of the Unitarian Universalist tradition. And as we prepare to do that, I'd like to remind you of the sources, a list that describes some of the places we tend to look for inspiration and wisdom. In a moment, I'll read them through, but I'd like first to put this particular list in context. This list did not exist in 1960 when two separate traditions, the Universalists and the Unitarians, merged to become the Unitarian Universalist Association, or UUA. It was 25 years later, in 1985, when this list was created. It is a companion to the 7 principles that I'll be discussing a little later. Together with a statement of purpose, the principles and the sources became a part of the Unitarian Universalist Association bylaws, specifically Article 2. Now, Unitarian Universalism is a living tradition which draws from many sources. This list describes some of the places we have traditionally looked for wisdom and inspiration. It is not intended to tie our hands. It is a description, not a prescription. It's important to note that people from many different faith traditions also draw on some of these sources to varying degrees. So let me read them through. They'll also be displayed. I'm making Patrick work really hard today. Thank you. For each of the sources, I invite you to ask yourself, is this source a source of insight, inspiration, or wisdom for me? Or no? Or someplace in the middle? You may, if you like, treat this as a personal meditation. The first is direct experience. Direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life. How important is your direct experience for providing insight, wisdom, or inspiration for you? The second source, words and deeds of prophetic women and men, which challenge us to confront powers and structures of evil with justice, compassion, and the transforming power of love. Who are you? Who are your heroes, and to whom do you look? Who provides for you insight, wisdom, and inspiration? Next, we have the world's religions. Wisdom from the world's religions which inspire us in our ethical and spiritual life. Have you found the teachings of religious traditions other than your own, which add insight, wisdom, or inspiration to your life? And next, calling out specifically our ancestral traditions, Jewish and Christian teachings, which call on us to respond to God's love by loving our neighbors as ourselves. Some form of the golden rule is found in most of the world's religions. How does this guide you? And humanist teachings. Humanist teachings which counsel us to heed the guidance of reason and the results of science, and warn us against the idolatries of the mind and spirit. Reason and science are responsible for many gifts in the modern world. Do you also find them a source of insight, wisdom, and inspiration? And finally, spiritual teachings of the earth-centered traditions which celebrate the sacred circle of life and instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. This last source was added almost 10 years after the others were adopted. It represents growing ecological concerns and a desire to heal our relationship with our planet. Do you find that the earth itself can offer you insight, wisdom, or inspiration? Unitarian Universalists draw on many sources for insight, wisdom, and inspiration. They are sources available to all of us and on which we may all draw in degrees and different measures. the workshop of our common endeavor. That's what this morning's responsive reading called this house, this sanctuary, this spiritual community, this house of friendship, encouragement, and haven, this house of freedom and truth-seeking, this house of scientists and mystics and artists and prophecy. This house is the workshop of our common endeavor. And just what is our common endeavor? What is it that brings Unitarian Universalists together into community? Why do we gather? And what is it we hope for when we bring our varied perspectives and diverse experiences into this place? I believe that those who choose to be Unitarian Universalists gather for many of the same reasons that humans have gathered throughout the millennia. We gather to be reminded what is most important in life, to celebrate our highest values and honor our deepest concerns. We gather to be called back to our best selves, to live consistently with our values, and to seek support and encouragement when we fall short of our aspirations. We gather for community so that we will have companions on life's journey through all of its ups and downs, companions that will help us know that we belong here, in this community, here on this precious earth, companions who will laugh with us and cry with us, who will comfort us and inspire us. We gather to learn and to gain wisdom. We gather for the opportunity to serve one another and to serve the world. I believe that Unitarian Universalists are drawn together for much the same reason any people are drawn into religious community. Now, in the past, I have led question box services in which the members of the congregation present provide questions to which I attempt to respond, thinking we might be ready to try that here. It's actually one of my favorite services. Over the years, though, I noticed a trend. Lots of people wanted to know how to talk to their family and friends, their neighbors and coworkers about their spiritual community that had brought them so much comfort and challenge and meaning over the years. Somewhere along the line, I adopted the practice of making the service after Thanksgiving what I call a UU 101 service, which is what I've done today. It serves several purposes. First, sometimes there are visiting family members with us who are not Unitarian Universalists, so it's good for them. Second, it prepares everyone else for conversations throughout the rest of the holiday season. And it's also good for our newer folks and also a good review for our long-term members. We all can use a review now and then. Now, because Unitarian Universalism is organized a little differently than some other religious traditions, it's not always easy to explain. People ask questions, but the questions don't always fit. They want to know what we believe. However, it turns out we don't all believe the same things. We don't consider this a problem. We consider it a blessing. But it can get confusing when people ask questions from their own frame of reference. It's like if I were to ask you what type of chocolate sauce you used last time you made pasta. The question doesn't make sense. And yes, I know someone here is going to bring to me a case where chocolate sauce and pasta make sense, but you get my point. We don't all believe the same thing, but we have agreed on how we will be together. Rather than being held together by creed, a statement of belief, we're held together by covenant, the promises we make to one another about shared expectations in community. When people ask us what we believe, they want the answer to be a noun, a creed, a statement of belief. But the more appropriate question is answered with a verb. How do you promise to be together? Now, to be clear, we're not the only ones with diversity. Christianity has thousands of variants, Roman Catholics, Methodists, Baptists, Christian Scientists, Mormons, Episcopals, Quakers, just to name a few. And yet they are all Christian. Other world religions also have sects and divisions, and yet they are discernibly Islamic, Buddhist, or Hindu. Now, there are advantages or disadvantages to being in groups that have diversity of belief, as well as sometimes being in groups that gather around a shared belief. For us, we are perhaps willing to live with a greater diversity of belief than some other groups. This is not necessarily good or bad. It's what works for us. Many of us who choose to be Unitarian Universalists appreciate the opportunity to be in community with others who may or may not think or believe like us. It's an important part of the spiritual journey. Just like, okay, I said I wasn't going to comment on this story, but just like the blind philosophers were able to learn more when they combined their knowledge and their experience. They had a greater picture of the world in which we live. Being in this kind of a community that shares this diversity, I would add, is also fabulous preparation for the world in which we live. The world we live in has immense diversity. Learning to live with diversity is one of the great and important challenges of our time. There are many ways to rise to that challenge, but for Unitarian Universalists, the way that we choose to practice our faith, the way we choose to gather in community, looking for unity that transcends our diversity, makes living with the world's diversity an integral part of our faith journey. Now, one time I posted a question on social media. I asked, what would you want to be sure that visiting family members heard or experienced if this was the first and possibly only time they will worship in a Unitarian Universalist setting? You have your ideas? There were a number of, you want to tell me what they are? Divine pluralism. Others? What would you want to make sure people heard? Kindness. Patience. Fellowship. Yeah. The list that I had was welcome, inclusion, love, compassion. Things that we have in common, not just with each other, but with other religions as well. We want our friends and loved ones to know that we aren't that different. To explore these themes, welcome, inclusion, love, and compassion, and some of the ways they make us like other religious traditions, and some of the ways they make us different, I'd like to look at the Unitarian Universalist Association principles. These 7 principles, usually referred to simply as our principles, come from the same document as the sources that we discussed a few minutes ago. You can find, if you're interested, both lists, the 6 sources and the 7 principles, in the gray hymnals. You just turn to the first hymn and flip back a page. Now, they aren't numbered there, but they are often referred to as if numbered in the order shown. Because I'm about to do that big time. Continuing to place these sources and principles in context, we need to acknowledge that they are no longer part of the UUA bylaws. As I mentioned, they were first adopted in 1985, 25 years after that merger between the Unitarians and the Universalists. For almost 40 years, they were well known among our members. So how many of you became Unitarian Universalists sometime between 1985 and 1924? No, 2020. 2024. Okay. 1985. So, okay, a good chunk of you. So 18 months ago, they were removed from the bylaws and replaced with a more contemporary statement. More on that in a bit. But just because the principles and sources were removed from the bylaws doesn't mean they were removed from our understanding. At this point in history, they remain an important element in the story of how we got from our beginnings to where we are today. So let's review them. Like the sources, the principles are a description of who we are, not a prescription. They're not a creed, but I like to think of them as aspirations about our common life. And while the principles are often found as a list, my favorite way is to think of them as an arch. So we think of the 7 principles as forming an arch, starting on the left with that number 1 first principle and moving over to the right to the 7th principle. Now, I'll invite you to notice as we move from left to right or up to down, we move from the individual, to an increasingly wide circle of concern. So we begin with on the left with worth and dignity of every individual. We covenant on each of these. We covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person, eventually ending up with, on the other end, oops, there we go, there we go. Oh, see that little question mark? She's supposed to be an arrow. She did not translate well. So we move over to the other end and to the web of existence of which we are a part. So we went from the individual to everything. If I were to ask the members of the congregation to name the principles, I would guess that the 2 most commonly remembered would be these 2 endpoints, the first and the 7th. Who's a first principle person? Anybody want to claim that identity? Yeah, okay, I see. Who's a 7th principle person? Yeah. We're going to get to it, but I'm a 4th principle person. Okay. Anybody else a 4th principle person? Okay. Now notice in the image of the arch, they are the anchors, 1 and 7. They provide our grounding. Number 1, our first principle is that we covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Many see this principle as a natural outgrowth of the universalist side of our heritage, the last 5 syllables of our 10-syllable name. Let's take just a minute to look at that history, that heritage. We've discussed this recently, but it bears repeating. So we have 2 sides to our Unitarian Universalist, both Unitarian, I will drink water now. We have 2 sides to our Unitarian Universalist history. Both Unitarianism and Universalism grew out of liberal Christianity. Originally, the 2 separate movements consolidated in 1961. I'm not going to do the math right now. To become the Unitarian Universalist movement we have today. The term universalist comes from the idea of universal salvation, the promise that all people will be saved or reconciled with God or love. The concept goes back, far back in the Christian church, in fact to the year 100. In this country, the idea gained prominence in colonial days. At the time, the dominant theology being preached in the land was the doctrine of election. This said that before you were born, God decided whether you're going to heaven or hell, and nothing you could do would alter that. People who had become known as universalists rejected this idea. What kind of God they wanted to know would create people just to have them suffer eternal damnation. They believed in a loving God who would, one way or another, reconcile with all people. For their belief in universal salvation, they became known as Universalists. We often summarize this part of our history as God is love. I should mention that there was a resurgence of Universalist thought in many evangelical and mainstream Christian traditions about 10 or so years ago. One prominent evangelical minister got shunned for preaching universalism. This universalism, which held that a loving God would save all people, has evolved in our time to encourage us to keep our hearts open. To keep our hearts open to the worth and dignity of every person, each person. Now let's jump over to the other end of our arch and find number 7, our 7th principle, which says that we covenant to affirm and promote respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. We can see this principle as a natural outgrowth of the Unitarian side of our heritage, the first 5 syllables of our 10-syllable name. Just good to know where it comes from. Let's take just a moment to look at that history, that heritage. The term Unitarian comes from the idea of the unity of God. That concept goes far back in the Christian church history to the year 325 and the Council of Nicaea. In this country, the idea gained prominence in the colonial days, in the established churches in New England, where there started to be 2 distinct trends. One was more liberal, one more traditional. The liberals advocated for more freedom, tolerance, and reason. Freedom, tolerance, and reason in religion. Some of these people who used that freedom, tolerance, and religion concluded that there were problems with the doctrine of the Trinity, arguing instead for the unity of God. They therefore became known as the Unitarians. There would eventually be a split between the liberals and the conservatives, with some congregations going one way and some the other. We often summarize the theology represented by this part of our history as God is one. It's actually a common cry in the Hungarian side, Transylvanian side of our tradition. It may be interesting to note that many non-Christian traditions hold a Unitarian view of the divine. This Unitarianism, which upheld the unity of God, has evolved in our day to encourage us to see the unity of existence. We know that we are not separate from the great web of life, but rather we are part of the greater whole. Anchored by these 2 points, we build on this grounding. Our second principle builds on the first. If we affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person, that tells us something about our aspirations for our relationships with other human beings. We say that we affirm and promote justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. These people of worth and dignity, they deserve to be treated fairly. Likewise, on the other side, our 6th builds on our 7th. If we promote respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part, that tells us something about our aspiration for the relationships around the planet. We say that we affirm the goal of world community with peace, justice, and liberty for all. If we are connected by the web of existence, then it would be only natural for the community within that web to be fair and peaceful. Moving further toward the center of our arch, we see that the grounding offers us guidance on how we organize our institutions. If we want all people to be valued and treated fairly, what must we do? We say we must offer acceptance of one another and encouragement in our congregations. And on the other side, if we want the community created within the web of existence to be peaceful and fair, what must we do? you to see how these things build on each other. This is a consistent set of understandings. We say that we affirm and promote the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. This is only one way of looking at our Unitarian Universalist principles, but I find it instructive. We have core values that serve as anchor points on which we build ideas about our relationships and our institutions. We move from the ends toward the center, and then we are left with one lone principle in the center, the keystone that holds our arch together. We affirm and promote a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. This is a fundamental spiritual principle. We are free. As individuals with worth and dignity, we deserve to be treated fairly, to be accepted and encouraged within this context. We are free. And we are responsible. As part of a vast web of existence, we know that our choices matter in the creation of the world community in which everyone has a voice. Within this context, we are responsible. We affirm and promote a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We promote this understanding not just for Unitarian Universalists, but for all people. All of us make choices about how we will affiliate religiously. You are free. All of us are accountable for the results of the choices we make. You are responsible. Unitarian Universalists, like other religious seekers, are searching for truth and meaning. We strive to live happy, ethical, good lives. In these ways, we differ little from other religious traditions. I realize at times it can appear that we can believe anything we want, that ours is an easy path. I would suggest that in our tradition, like in most traditions I am aware of, a person can skate across the surface if they want to. But there is another option. We can take our freedom and our responsibility to heart and go deep. I would submit to you that being responsible for your own spiritual journey when taken seriously is a deeply challenging and rewarding adventure. A deeply challenging and rewarding adventure. One of the features of a free and responsible tradition is that it adapts to the times it finds itself. This does not mean that our core values change. It means that our articulation is updated to meet the times in which we live. 18 months ago, after considerable process and discussion, we did just that. We updated Article 2, the part of the UUA bylaws that once held our principles and sources. This graphic and others like it have become the face of that new articulation. You see the word love in the middle with interlocking and elliptical orbs of color, stylized as if subatomic particles. There's a flower one too. And then around that love at the center, we find 6 shared Unitarian Universalist values: transformation, equity, pluralism, interdependence, justice, and generosity. I became a Unitarian Universalist just 3 years after principles and sources were adopted. It was hard for me to imagine life without them. But then I remembered that I'd only been around a few years when the Gray hymnal, Singing the Living Tradition, came out. Change. Oh heavens, people were so upset. They loved the old blue hymnals, titled Celebration, Hymns for the Celebration of Life. Who remembers the blue hymnals? Anybody? A few people. And the red hymnals. Oh my gosh, the red hymnals. One time I said, what's the difference of the hymns in the red hymnal? And someone said they say amen at the end. Like, we can say amen if you want. Okay. They didn't care, these upset people, that the new hymnal had gender-inclusive language, that it better reflected our theology. They didn't like change. As a relative newcomer, I found it fascinating to watch. So now that I am an old-timer, I am trying very hard not to be fascinating to the newcomers. Once we were two traditions, then we were one. We had one self-description that I never knew, and one I memorized and referred to often, and now a new one to explore. I've committed myself to just such an exploration over the next year. What does our new articulation with love at the center have to teach? And in what ways will it bring more transformation, equity, pluralism, interdependence, justice, and generosity into the world? And how will it change our lives and the world? On our journey, we draw on many sources. We build on key principles about people, about our connections, our human relationships of all type, about how we organize our common lives. We seek wisdom in many places. We express ourselves in many ways. We celebrate our diversity and consider it a blessing. This is our common endeavor. To those who choose this path, it is a gift. I am not convinced that Unitarian Universalism is the right approach for everyone. Therefore, I'm glad there are options that may fit some other people better. I am glad we live in a free country where each person is free to practice their religion according to their conscience. In Unitarian Universalism, we know that we can continue to learn from each other, of course, but also from those who have chosen other paths, perhaps from some visiting among us. We may not share a religious tradition, but we do share a common humanity. Shall we then open our hearts and minds to the possibilities that exist for mutual respect and deeper understanding? May it be so.
Thank you very much. We're going to extinguish our chalice now, and please recite with me the words on the screen. Our closing music today is hymn number 131, Love Will Guide Us. Please rise as you're able and join me in singing it in the gray hymn. Giving, love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way. On the road from greed to giving, love will guide us through the hard night. My closing words today are from Craig Rowland, where holiness is hard to see. As we extinguish this flame, May we carry its smoke with us into the streets, into the places where holiness is hard to see, but always waiting to be noticed. Let us go with our eyes open for wonder in the worn out, with reverence for each passerby, and with a knowing that the sacred does not hide from the world. It lives in us. Go now, not to escape the brokenness, but to journey beside it, and sometimes to bless it. We will now conclude. I don't think we have any closing music, so feel free to start coffee and conversation, and have a good week.